Did you ever live anywhere else?
No.
Really? You always lived in L.A.?
Always. Well, I lived up north for a while in school. But
Oh, you did?
Santa Cruz for a few
Oh,
years.
Santa Cruz. I like Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz is fun.
I love that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did one of my movies up there. We did Homegrown, the pot movie.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we shot that in Santa Cruz. Yeah.
Apropos place to shoot.
Oh, absolutely right.
I miss my college days.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So what we're talking about? Actually, you talk about that, just about hobo, the title. People don't hear that word often anymore. It's kind of fun just to see it written down on the album cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the name hobo is very. It's kind of an old-fashioned word now. You know, people are very aware of street people, but not so much about hobos. And there's a big difference between hobos and street people. Hobos are actually traveling homeless people. You know, I mean, they hop the rails and stuff like that. So the word hobo has more to do with traveling than it does anything else, I think. And in terms of the album, definitely. You know, Hobo was the perfect title for the record because it's about hobos, and a hobo doesn't necessarily have to be somebody with a handkerchief on a stick or hopping a freight train. A hobo could be in a Cadillac. A hobo could be on a bus or in their, you know, whatever, flying out here. It could be of any social or economic background. It's basically people who, well, I guess gypsy would be a good word for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the word gypsy is still used a lot. I thought hobo sounds, you know, mysterious and old-fashioned enough. And, you know, there are kids who are, you know, in their, you know, teens or 20s who probably don't really know what hobos are. So we thought about that. We thought, well, are they going to know what that means? And I figured, well, you know, kids, you know, need an education. Let them figure it out.
Exactly. I think it's cool you're bringing back the hobo.
Yeah.
Bringing back the hobo. An album like this also, in terms of what stuff you're talking about, it's not immediately going to cause people to start dissecting every word and find all this personal stuff they were doing with the last albums.
Mm-hmm.
When the kind of obviously the stuff was obvious because you were putting it right out there. Is that a conscious effort, and is there like kind of a thrill that you won't really have that going on now?
Well, yeah, you're right. It's like the first two albums were, I was really exposing myself on a lot of, you know, lyrically on those records, but, you know, I was right in the middle of it when it was happening and everything. I think, I didn't consciously make this one less personal. I think it's because I was feeling okay. I didn't feel like writing, I mean, even though some of the songs are very dark, even the ones that were about me or about some experience I had that might be, you know, unpleasant or whatever, I had some distance between me and the experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't consciously set out to do it. I think it's just the way I felt at the time. I was able to do a little bit more objective songwriting.
Mm-hmm. We talk so many times in the middle of all those experiences and talking about movies, but the other stuff was always around too. Is it nice to kind of have a lot of that distance? It doesn't play a big of a role in your life and depress about you at this point? Is it kind of soothing?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, they pretty much leave me alone these days, other than when, you know, if you've got a movie coming out and you're out in the world a little bit more, like, you know, when I just had Bad News Bears out, you know, we had a premiere in New York, and I did a lot of press over there, and it was the first time in my whole career where they barely asked me anything personal. And I mean, I thought they probably would, I mean, because it's leftover or whatever, and they're going to still get on it, but I had a few questions, just a handful of questions about marriages and things like that. But it was so funny to me. The press even, because I've known the press for a long time now. I'm like, you know, friendly with a lot of people in the press. And if I'm not, at least I know who they are and they know who I am. We've been through it a million times. And it was so funny to me. There was one lady, I did a press conference in New York one morning with probably 200 journalists there. And all the questions were about the movie and about baseball and about my life growing up as a baseball player and, you know, different things like that. It was great. And then near the end, one lady stood up to ask a question, and she was from a very well-known magazine that you can find on your stands easily at the grocery store. And she stood up and said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so magazine." And I said out loud, you know how sometimes you just like, it just slips out? Out loud I said, "Oh good, here we go." And I knew she was going to ask about Angie,
Yeah.
and which I don't mind talking about because she's a great person and she's my friend. But they always want to make some bad thing out of it. And she asked me the question, and the other people actually booed her. And I thought, wow, you guys are actually, we have known each other a while. You do get it.
Right.
And it made me feel really good. And I answered her question by answering a whole other question.
Sure. You've gotten so savvy at this.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say a word about what she asked me.
Right.
I talked about kids and baseball.
Right.
That's like, then what are you going to do about it, you know?
Right.
But, you know, it has been a real relief for me to not be going through all the relationship stuff anymore. It has so little to do with what I do, and plus it's hurtful. You can't deny that, you know. It's like, you know, people ask you sometimes, do you let this roll off your back or do whatever? You can't. If you hear some disturbing thing about you in the press, it hurts, you know, and you can't deny it. So,
still a human being.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. How much rock? You're when you do this kind of thing and you're a rock star for a moment, then you go back to doing a movie. How much is rock and roll though part of your life and music just part of like everyday living and breathing?
Rock and roll is a big part of my living and breathing. That's all I do. I mean, that's where rock and roll is where I become a geek. Some people are computer geeks. Some people are movie geeks. I'm a music geek.
Yeah.
I read all the liner notes. I still collect CDs and vinyl. At night when I'm up alone, like when my girlfriend and my baby are asleep and everybody's doing their own thing and it's, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll do things like categorize CDs or read liner notes or figure out a new shelf I can put all the Frank Zappa stuff on or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm like a 12-year-old.
I know exactly what you mean because I'm there.
Yeah, I still do it.
Right.
I mean, I love playing music. I love writing songs. I love being in the studio. I love playing live. But it doesn't stop there. Music is really my great artistic love, you know. I've never stopped being a fan. I mean, I'm as much of a Beatles, you know, like a little buck-toothed kid with big glasses on watching the Beatles and Ed Sullivan as I ever was.
And having people like Warren Zevon, it actually, you know, had something to do with this album as well.
Right.
Having that part of your life must have just been a thrill. The people you've gotten to meet and become friends with over the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's astounding to me when musical heroes of mine want me to write a song with them or want me to be on their record or, you know, love my movies or something. I'm surprised they even know who I am. And then when I hear this stuff, it astounds me. And the fact that I'm friends with a lot of them, I mean, you know, my best friend's Dwight, you know, and, you know, I'm friends with Tom Petty and, you know, Tom Waits and John Prine and Christopherson and Willie Nelson, guys like that. Sometimes you know, because we know each other real well, I'll be talking to them and, yeah, it's just a friend of yours. But every now and then it sneaks up on you. And it's like, I'm sitting across the table from Willie Nelson. How weird is that? It's a guy who I admired since I was a kid. And, but I mean, I feel the same thing with some actors, like Duvall.
Right.
You know, people like that.
What's it like with the young cats you work with that feel the same way about you? Do you have a certain way of dealing with them and talking to them?
Yeah, it's funny when you're working with young kids, you know, which I do a lot in the movies. You know, I'll work with younger actors who are, you know, like to them, I just think I'm this guy like they are. I forget that I'm like twice as old and I've been in, you know, 40-something movies and they've been in 3 or 4. You know. And so when they treat me like that, it's always eye-opening to me. I forget, you know. And because to them, it's like me working with Duvall or Gene Hackman or whoever, you know. And I forget that sometimes. But it feels good, and anything I can do to bring them along, because God knows I had people, you know, that really influenced me and helped me out. So, yeah.
Sure, man.
Cool.
Very
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
All right. I got to play some new shit. You got to come by the house.
Yeah.
It's like we have this one song. We played this one. We did this one with the whole band. Like the guys came in, and a couple of songs are like full on, sort of. Well, one's just a traditional country song, but it's done our way, so you look at it more as an alt country deal, you know, because it's kind of a parody.
Yeah.
It's a divorce song called "That's Why Tammy Has My Car." That's hilarious.
That's right.
Oh, you got to hear this thing.
That's
Oh,
great.
it's funnier than shit. And I actually wrote my first potentially commercial song. I didn't mean to.
Right.
It just turned out that way.
If you meant
That
to
was,
forget it,
yeah. I mean, that was the melody.
Right.
But it sounds, it's a, I mean, and I don't mean like huge pop stuff, but along the lines of Petty's more popular songs, you know, like a Refugee or,
Right.
you know, Free Fallin', or, you know, in that world.
Yeah.
You know, but certainly more commercial than anything I ever do, and had no intention of doing it at all.
Surprising.
Yeah. But it's a song about the spotlight.
Uh-huh.
It's called A Name for Myself, but I got to play you stuff because it's really. I think the songwriting is getting better all the time. I mean, I think Hobo was a big step, but this stuff we're doing now.
That's great.
Is really. I think I've gotten the confidence in my songwriting now. You know, where when I write something, I don't second guess it so much. You know,
well, it
what I mean?
shows on this album. It's so amazing.
Oh,
I've
cool.
been dying to hear it again since I heard it the first time. Just been,
Oh, cool.
Some of the songs stuck in my head literally since last.
Oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent, man. Thanks.